All right. So the quote that I'm going to be doing today is "Nothing gold can stay." Starting off with the 2 minutes of prep time.
Normal voltage.
I'm just going to go ahead and start right now. So, nothing gold can stay. We've all heard this quote once or twice from The Outsiders, and this is a great way of introducing my quote, which is that there is nothing permanent except change. I believe this to be true on many different aspects, or the way I'm thinking about it, on all planes of reality. We're talking physically, mentally, and spiritually. On the physical aspect, one thing that really comes to my mind is about how Earth is constantly changing. You have the cells on organisms that are constantly dying and are being created. You have water, which is always moving and is never in the same place twice. You have air molecules, and you have all those kind of things. Nothing is ever in the same place at the same time. And while some stuff stays in there for a little bit, it's never going to be there like forever. You have dinosaurs who die and become fossils, and sure, they stay in the earth, but eventually we find them. And then you have oil and things like that. So things like the only constant in science that we can say it will always happen and will always stay the same is that things are always gonna be changing. And we can expand our view to even heck space. You hear people like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about how stars are constantly being born and stars are constantly dying and becoming black holes, and new planets are being created, and the universe is constantly expanding outward. So on the physical level, and then you have things like evolution. I'm sure it takes millions of years for the animal to, have a noticeable change, but it's still going to change. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same as it was 3 million years ago. You have Darwin's theory about animals constantly evolving. So it's a scientific fact that not only is the sedentary or the immovable objects, the non-organisms that are changing, but it's also organisms too. So it's both sides of the spectrum right there. And then you have then I think about things like time, time and because it's time, space, and matter. You have time and space, which are constantly expanding and stuff. Well, maybe not so much space, but time is always moving. So I guess you could say that is also a sort of change. But moving on, we have the mental aspects of things that can never be permanent. Hearts can change. People can fall in love. They can fall out of love. You say you love somebody and something happens, and something in your life happens, and next thing you know, you end up just not liking them anymore. You have a change of heart. And then you have friendships. You're with your friends, and then all of a sudden you guys start arguing about something dumb, and next thing you know, you don't want to talk to each other. Your friendship changed. and you can have arguments with your family and your loved ones, you know, and the next thing you know, you don't talk to them anymore, and then you have a change in that kind of relationship. And you know, so mentally you're changing how much you want to be around them and how much you want to talk to them, you know. People change their minds all the time, you know, and it's not only about other people that people change on the inside. They change about things that they like to do, their passions, you know. It kind of reminds me of how college kids, you know, they'll change their major like 6 or 7 times. Mentally, you'd think that when they go into college, they know exactly what they want to do, but it's not like that, you know. So when I think about, you know, nothing's permanent except change, I guess it's almost like humans are naturally going to change their point of view on different things throughout their lives. You know, it's like when, like, you didn't have the same mentality when you were 5 as you do now, or you're not, and you're not gonna have the same mentality now and when you're 30. You know, the wiser you get, the more your opinions change, and the more you yourself change. You know, I mean, literally, you heard that argument that we are our experiences, or it's our experiences that make us. You know, our experiences are constantly changing who we are. You know, so the idea of our consciousness and our mental state is, again goes with what I said about the physical, that the only thing that is constant is that you will change, you know. And then my last point is going to be on the spiritual side. You know, when it comes to God, I think the first thing I think about when nothing's permanent is salvation. Because when you're born, you're not sure, you have a ticket to heaven, but your mindset isn't oh, my God is my everything when you're just born. You know, that's something you develop. Now, you can either be born in a family that already cements that in your head, or you could be born in a family that doesn't talk about it at all, until you have a friend that says, hey, I want to talk to you about the Lord our God, you know. And then you get with them, and they show you all the facets of Christianity and what it means to you know that Jesus is your Lord and Savior. But next thing you know, spiritually, you give your heart to God and you're saved, you know. So, and now that one's a little tricky though, because once you're saved, you can't be saved again. But I guess if we're talking about how things are always changing, you could it's completely possible to fall to not love God anymore, not make God the center of your life. You know, you could, by one way or another, lose your salvation. You know, just because, you know, oh, that's a good point. Just because you have salvation doesn't mean you can't lose it. It doesn't mean that it's permanent. So that's a really good one. And then also, when we're talking about change in the spiritual sense, you can talk about how people convert too. People convert. Not only do they fall out of love with God, but they change, I guess, maybe change their ideas on what God is and what his purpose for us is. You know, when someone goes from Christianity to Catholicism, or from what's that one called? Kingdom, Jehovah Witness to Christianity, or heck, even from Christianity to Islam. You know, it's completely possible to have a change of heart on that. So it's a lot of different points. You know, a little summary of what we've done. You know, I've talked about the physical sense, the mental sense, and the spiritual sense of how things are constantly changing. You know, nothing can ever be permanent. Nothing permanent. Everything permanent always changes. Or to read my quote, there is nothing permanent except change. So to end off with, nothing gold can stay, and just think about that, right? Thank you.